44, you're going to be playing at the level that Tom Brady is and like LeBron James.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with that. And I think we're going to get into this space where people think that because they can still play, they should, right? But, like, there's a difference between, like, playing well and just, like, playing at, you know, the minimum level and being able to see that you did because, you know, you're this old guy who's still in whatever your respective league is. I do think Tom Brady is, like, that unicorn that
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Welcome in, Husker fans. This is the Husker Afterparty postgame show. Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. The Husker After Party postgame show is brought to you by Southeast Community College and Street Drive-In, Lincoln Federal Savings Bank. Now, here is your host, Connor Happer.
An absolute thrill ride this afternoon. Nebraska falls just short as they lose to Oklahoma 23-16. If you would have told me 3 hours, I'd be saying those words right now. I don't know. Maybe I'd be happy. That's up for you guys to decide. Welcome into the Husker After Party postgame show. Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven with you here on 93.7 The Ticket. Man, that's a lot of fun. We want to hear from you guys. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Sartor Heyman text line. They're both open for you guys. Also, feel free to comment on the stream. We are streaming live video on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Brought to you by Sartor Heyman. A lot of things to get into today. I want to get to your calls as soon as we possibly can. Bach is with me. Bach, good afternoon.
Hey.
Wow. I mean, that was a real-life college football game.
That was awesome. I mean, this is the first time I felt like Nebraska on the field. You know, you get these game day or these week zero situations where there's hype and stuff, but on the field, that's the first time I felt like Nebraska's belonged in some sort of discussion of part of college football in a long time. I know there's going to be a lot of complaints about the penalties and the mismanagement, and that's just not a 2-minute offense, and that did not work well late there at the end. But just to be within one possession of Oklahoma, your hated rival, I mean, this was awesome. This was a great day, a great start for college football, and for Nebraska, a huge step forward. With the fact that they still don't look like they're cleaned up. So, you know, hopefully with that if they can figure that out, which I don't know if it's year 4, maybe you don't think that's going to happen by now. But if they can figure that out, this team's really got some upside.
It can be a momentum gainer. How does Nebraska kind of take this into next week in what is, we'll set the stage already. We got a lot to talk about today, but their biggest game of the year, I mean, to date, I suppose, next week against Michigan State. There's a lot that hangs on that game. But Nebraska loses by just a touchdown today to Oklahoma. How do you feel? Take us through your emotions here. 402-464-5685. We get the call started this afternoon with Paul, who joins us on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good.
You know, I'm a lot better than I thought I would be, if I'm being honest with you.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, you know, I feel horrible for those kids. I guess couple thoughts I had is, should we have even been trying for the field goals a couple of those times? And we're going in there. We are such underdogs. I don't know what the point of that was, I guess, and especially with Colt being so inconsistent this year, you know, and then I don't know what to do with our O-line anymore. I feel bad for our defense. I feel bad for Martinez. I feel bad for the wide receivers and the running backs. Everything was coming together. The O-line could not get out of their way. The Juergens one call was pretty bad, and then I guess other than, you know, that, and then should we be going for touchdowns over field goals? Why don't we have a special teams coordinator yet? I mean,
it's a good question.
Can't Frost just give up some of his money and hire one or something? Because
You get Bruce
that
Reed
might have been
back.
the difference today, boys.
Thanks, Paul. We appreciate it. And there's no doubt that it's the difference. I mean, Nebraska missed 2 field goals. One of them was a 50-yarder. So what do you expect there? I think it kissed off the right.
Yeah, it was close.
Right post there, and then a blocked extra point that was taken back for a safety, where it looked like to me Ethan Piper was just totally run over by the guy in front of him. I mean, that's the right guard on an extra point. That pressure shouldn't be coming from the interior. If it is, it's going to get blocked a lot of the time.
Yeah. And you wonder, because actually Culp wasn't kicking the ball. So sometimes, you know, was it a lower trajectory from the backup kicker?
Yeah.
It's the kicking game's a complete mess. Oklahoma very nearly gave that away with a few different things. The sideline warning, the guy recovering the ball when at the 8-yard line on the squib kick,
rolled out of bounds.
So I don't know, and I've seen this on the text line. This might not be the greatest Oklahoma team. That remains to be seen. It probably isn't, but in any case, it doesn't matter. Huge step up for Nebraska, because Oklahoma's at least, you know, going to be a top 10, 15 team this year, in all likelihood. And Nebraska just hasn't stayed on the field against those guys in recent years. That measuring stick game. This was it. This was the rivalry game, the scuffle before the field. I got to tell you, there aren't many of them, but and it's weird to say this is one of my favorite losses for Nebraska of all time, because it's a huge step forward for the program. Again, while at the same time, just still looking like there's a lot of room left to grow.
An enormously frustrating game, but only frustrating because it looked like Nebraska had the guns to do it.
Yeah.
They had the guns to pull it off today. The defense was basically magnificent. You know, they got a couple runs going in the second half, but I mean, Oklahoma, I guess this is, you know, just bad on their part, but they kind of went away from it a little bit. And I said, with the exception of this for the defense, I've been saying all week, Rattler is the guy, and I think Nebraska did a good job at this, keeping him in the pocket and not, you know, he can make plays outside of it, but it's not really him in like the way we see Adrian Martinez making plays. It's his wide receivers have so much more time to get open, and they create space. And Nebraska did a good job of kind of bottling him up. And I said this week that he's going to throw 2 or 3 balls that are going to be 50-50. And he did today. Yeah. And Nebraska didn't come up with any interceptions. And that's a big part of it for me. And obviously we're going to talk about special teams and offensive line play and stuff like that. But we knew those things coming into the game. We're trying to base our expectation off of what we know about Nebraska football and then put it, you know, look at it going forward. Nebraska's rough on special teams. They commit penalties seemingly at the wrong times. Can you live with these things? Can you clean it up to a certain extent? But can you live with these things and play with what you have? And Nebraska had a chance to do that, all things considered today. And yeah, I'm with you, Buck. That's a step forward for me. Now it's all about how you capitalize off of the momentum.
Yeah,
and that remains to be seen. Nebraska hasn't necessarily been good at that over the last 3 years.
No.
But so it all kind of rides on next week's game. But it was a big shot of confidence, I think, for the program as a whole.
Well, it should be. I mean, this is the type of game that gets you, you know, remember that Illinois game. I think we can move on from that pretty easily now. I mean, this is the type of game that makes you feel like we can play with anybody on any given day. And you know, because the defense, this is huge for the defense. The black shirt defense only giving up 23 points to Oklahoma, much less doing so without getting any turnovers. You know, I think this is probably the lowest mark I would think of Lincoln Riley's career at Oklahoma. I have to go back and look. I know they've scored about 28-27 at the end of last year against Iowa State and somebody else. Can't remember the other team, but in any case, just a great performance by the defense today. And at times, you know, they were gassed up at times. But again, this is Oklahoma. This is a high octane offense. And they looked really good. And then, like, I know, like what we're saying. I mean, well, one thing you saw Xavier Batson, Omar Manning step up and look like the pieces that Nebraska expected him to be. Hopefully you can see that moving forward. But I do feel for Adrian Martinez, because if you can't trust in your field goal kicker, you know, that puts more pressure on you to, you know, get in the end zone. And then the offensive line was holding them back. I mean, even on those plays where there's not penalties, that last touchdown drive they had, it was miraculous what Adrian had to do on those first 2 plays just to get a first down. So just a great game from him. And it continues that too, is that the last 2 weeks we've said, hey, this is good, Adrian. This is as good as we've seen him his whole career since his freshman year. That continued through today. So a lot of positives to take out of this, a lot of frustration as well. But I think for me at least, and I think for most of Husker Nation, this will get you back into believing in this team, in the potential that they have to make a bowl game, maybe even do more as conference play really gets kicked in. Obviously already 0-1 conference play with that loss to Illinois.
Yeah. So I just briefly going back on what you said there, Bach, this is the lowest point total I can see from Oklahoma, at least in the Lincoln Riley era.
Yeah.
And then I went all the way back to 2015. They lost to Texas 24-17, and that's a Bob Stoops team.
Yeah.
So, man, hats off to Nebraska's defense.
Well, again, they gave up 21, not 23. The special teams gave up another 2 to put on top of them.
That's true. All right, we want to roll through you guys here. 402-464-5685 Husker After Party post-game show brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Up next is Zach. Hey, Zach, how are you?
Hey, guys. I guess I'm not as optimistic as you guys are.
Tell us why.
Ultimately, you look at the 4 games Nebraska has played, and it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Not much has changed. Offense is still questionable at best. Penalties are still rampant. Special teams simply suck.
Yeah, but Zach, hold on. Zach, you're picking out a bunch of things. I mean, Nebraska, you'd be crazy to look at this game and say Nebraska hasn't made some sort of progress over the last 3 years as a whole. I know it's the same things that are still biting them, but as a team, I mean, they get blown out in this game 2 years ago with the defense that they had.
I would say the defense has played better, but I guess my gripe about the defense, and don't take this away, is it is a little bit of nitpicking, but so far this season, in the 2 games that Nebraska has lost, when the defense has really needed to bow up and we need them to make a stop to give the offense some time, they have failed. The drive right after halftime of Illinois, they just got smashed. And then, don't get me wrong, it's a big momentum swing when Connor Culp, you go down right at the end of the half in the Oklahoma game, you have a great looking drive and you have to kick a field goal and you miss it. They go with the trick play, they get it, and then after that, Nebraska's defense has got to be able to come up with a play here and there. And you mentioned it earlier, they had some 50-50 balls. They didn't come up with any.
Yeah, that's true.
But ultimately, it comes down to the offense. The defense,
it does. You're right.
Played well enough to win the game today. No question about that. And it's if they make their extra point and they make their field goals, Nebraska technically wins the game, 23-21, something like that. I mean, certainly the game plays out differently, but it's seeing the same mistakes over and over again, and they're not changing. And I don't think Oklahoma is that great either, but will remain to be seen. The real season and where Nebraska is going to go is next week. I think Michigan State's a pretty quality team, and if Nebraska wins that game, they might have an okay season. They lose that game though, I don't know if Nebraska is going to recover. Yeah,
Zach, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I guess I just look at it through a different prism than Zach kind of is. I mean, he's mentioning the defense kind of needing to bow up. Now we can nitpick stuff on the defense. I already said that Spencer Rattler is going to throw 3 up and 50-50 balls. You got to make a play on one of them. They had a lot of moments where they seemingly had Oklahoma dead to rights on a no gain play or a loss play, and that guy was able to squeak ahead for 3 or 4 yards or even more occasionally. But I the prism that I see it through is the offense, and you hit it on the point there. I get it. It's both. I mean, they have to work together, but I feel like Nebraska's done a pretty good job, and this is kind of what we wanted. So going back to the whole change point and what's looked different, they have adapted to their personnel. Like, they made a game with Oklahoma a Big Ten game. They limited possessions. They extended drives occasionally on offense, but they played the long game today. They played it at their tempo, at their pace, and that's what I wanted to see. That's what was going to keep Nebraska in this game. They couldn't meet Oklahoma at a track meet. They just couldn't. They weren't going to score 50, and we know that. That's still an issue with the offense. And it's damning at this point that it is all on Adrian Martinez. But that guy's playing out of his mind right now. And this is the formula you see. And I'm not saying that this needs to be the way it is for Nebraska as a program going forward. Ideally, you'd like to have more solid pieces everywhere. But you look around the Big Ten, it is, and specifically this division, it's a lot of good defense, a lot of good special teams, field position, and a quarterback making a play. The difference year to year between Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, whatever, is quarterback play. Can that guy single-handedly take you from where you're at to the next level? And Nebraska, to me, looks like a Big Ten West team right now. And they played like it today. I don't know if like imposing their will is the right like phrasing for it, but they dictated things today. Nebraska dictated a game against the number 3 team in the country. Like that's not a, I can't come away from that, on a negative as far as the net for today. There's stuff that we're going to nitpick and we will, trust me, but it's a net gain for me. It is. I'm like, I don't know, moral victory. Call me moral victory guy. I guess I am, because I don't leave this game feeling negative really at all.
Well, and I think it all goes back onto, what is your goal for the season? What's your goal? And maybe if you're looking at a wider picture in year 4, maybe you would have already expected this and that, so maybe they're just kind of catching up to where you'd want them to be. And I could see all that. But I think if you're realistic going into a game where you were expected to lose by 22.5 points, or, that was the spread, and just the way that Nebraska's looked, much less the fact that you made a lot of bonehead errors and mistakes. Yeah. And somehow we're still in this game. I look at that, being down 23-9. Oklahoma scores on their first possession of the fourth quarter. That's a spot where Nebraska just gives in a lot of times. And they fought, and the defense gave Nebraska, you talk about standing up, they stood up and gave Nebraska's offense a chance there at the end with, I know it was only under a minute because they already burned a timeout earlier in the half. And that's part of the frustrations too. The timeouts coming out of that. The one timeout was coming from out of a kickoff. Yeah. I mean, you should have had that play ready. So, I mean, there's still frustrations with game management and penalties, and I get that. But
the one after the long play too, the long bets, the 9.
Oh yeah,
they had to take it. I think they had to burn a timeout after that.
Well, no, they didn't burn a timeout, but they weren't ready, right? I mean, it was like
I think they burned a timeout.
No, because they only burned that one timeout. Remember, it was like Adrian kind of just ran a quick play and got tackled.
Oh yeah, that's right. Adrian,
but they weren't ready for the play.
Yeah, they weren't ready at all. And then it put them in 2nd and 11. And right.
Yeah, but I mean,
they end up throwing the pick, get the ball back, have a chance again.
Yeah, some of these problems kind of work themselves out. The fact that Nebraska's not a 2-minute offense, so that's what really put it behind. You can't take a sack there.
Big Ten West checklist.
Yeah, there it is.
So the only thing you're missing is field goal kicker and penalties, I guess. The penalty things is generally new for this team. I tend to think a bunch of them were just because of being revved up out of the gate. That first drive was just
how they got 3 points out of the drive. I
don't know. So you're I think 3 of them on that first drive, 2 before they even ran a play on that first one. And then a couple on Juergens for like unnecessary roughness. The first one, where he, went back after the guy after he was already on the ground. The second one, he's way down the field and giving him an extra shove. I didn't mind that.
Yeah.
Like those are ones that you could live with. I don't know. Like you look at the game as a whole and you pick out the little things that could have got Nebraska over the top, and you're right. But I don't think the penalties to me were that much of a sign of like undisciplined, like that's not what I'm going back to in my mind. It was kind of just situationally, and I'm not trying to give him an excuse for it. It can't happen. It hurt Nebraska's chances to win the game, but I don't think it's like a microcosm of what's happening.
Well, and they overcame a lot of those penalties. I think they actually had 4. They had 4 on every offensive lineman except for Matt Sichterman in the opening drive, and they got 3 points out of it.
Yep. So
they overcame that one. The Cam Juergens one that everybody's going to say this week, it was a bad call because he was playing through the whistle. And I'll agree with that. But they did overcome that. They scored on that drive. So some of those penalties didn't hurt them as much as they could, which is a huge difference from last year. If Nebraska was 3rd and behind the sticks last year, they did not have a chance on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, back them at the 15. There was just no possibility that they were going to get it. And this year they've been able to add that to their offense. So it's not great. I mean, 16 points overall is not going to get it done a whole lot. And of course, I mean, I don't know what you do with Culp at this point. Do you keep riding him? He hit his career long today.
They tried Meyer.
Yeah.
He's the one
that didn't
blocked.
look a whole lot better. So
I don't know if that's him, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, it might have been a low trajectory. I'm not sure, but like you said, the interior of the line got blew up. So
yeah, that's not really common. All right, we want to keep you guys in here. 402-464-5685 Husker After Party Postgame Show. We got Larry on the line. Hey, Larry.
Hi there. Just wanted to say that I was impressed with the defense today. They played one heck of a game, and if they play like that all the time, we can win a few more games this year. But I do disagree with you on the penalties. It is discipline. I think it's been a problem for 3.5 years, and that's on the coaches where the players aren't disciplined enough. And I think that's something they need to work on. Plus the special teams again. That's been a problem for the same amount of time, and still can't seem to figure it out. And I'm not a coach, but with the way that was and what happened, I just think that need to take a look at themselves and what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Let me be clear here. Like, I think my point was actually better made by Bach. They on the penalties thing, they recovered from a lot of them, and they had to go 1,000,000 yards on the first drive. Still ended up getting 3 points. Were there any that wiped out big plays today? I mean, those are the ones that you really can't live with, right? If you're taking points off the board, or if if you're wiping out huge chunk plays. And to my knowledge, I don't know that there were many. Like on the first, I'm not like, once again, I'm not saying just wipe them out because of these reasons, but Nebraska was awfully ready to go today. That's a good thing. And I'm talking about net gain, net loss as a whole. It's a net gain for Nebraska today. I feel net positive. I understand that the penalties need to be cleaned up. I'm like, nobody's shying away from that. Nebraska, in order to complete their full circle route to being a Big Ten West team, that's how you have to do it. Though that's the difference in this league. But they once again dictated tempo and pace against Oklahoma. It doesn't happen a whole lot. It just doesn't. And I got to give credit to Nebraska on that. And then Adrian Martinez played another unbelievable game, avoiding sacks, making great throws. The pick on the one-handed pick.
What a pick.
Oh my God.
That's one of the best catches I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable. And then they got the ball back after that. They threw the pick. They got the ball back after that and had a chance to and scored the touchdown, right? So a lot of emotions, obviously, a lot of different things going on. I'm not trying to let Nebraska off the hook easy here. It was a frustrating game. I understand that, but I don't know, man. It's all about how you capitalize it off of it, starting this week. Let's head back to the phones here. Froth, is it Froth again? Hi, Froth.
What's up?
What's going on?
Oh, well, I just want to say the vibes last week were immaculate.
Yes.
I would say the vibes right now are pretty darn okay. I mean, I hear a lot of negative people right now. I just want to start by apologizing to Adrian Martinez, the best player on our team that gets the most hate. Sorry, don't want to be that guy, but he carried us today. We can talk about penalties if we want, but geez Louise, if we needed a play and if a play was going to happen, it was from him. I don't want to hear anyone talking down on him. I got to say, as someone that thought the game was going to be over midway through the second quarter, the fact that I was watching on the edge of my seat in the fourth quarter, I'm happy. I'm happy with the team. Like you said, net positive, right?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. Froth, thanks for the call. Thanks for checking in always. You got it. You got to hand it to Adrian Martinez. I mean, it's all him. Like it is. He is making the offensive line is not helping him really at all. The offense, like they will still go back to the run, and they did a better job, I think, at just conventionally running the ball today.
Sticking to it. I mean,
they stick to, and that helps him.
2.5 yards per rush.
So then you're you're at the same place that all the other Big Ten West teams are, right? You have to pick your spot, hit a shot, and hope that you convert on it, right? And they did a couple times today just to kind of hang in that game. They were teetering a few times. Like Froff said, I was like, this could get bad, and you'd come up with a play. So, like I said, want to hear from you guys. 402-464-5685 on Adrian. 19 of 25, 289 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick, and also carried the ball 17 times. A few of those were sacks. 34 yards for Adrian, but a lot of those is just keeping plays alive and walking out of bounds to gain 2 instead of losing 7.
Yeah, and for the traditional run game, your running backs, you had 21 carries for 61 yards. That's 2.9 yards per carry. It's more the same problem. I mean, that's something that's not a strength of their team. And you said it, Big Ten West teams, some of them can really run the ball well, but there's days where it's not working. Clearly, this is not going to be great, a strength for Nebraska all year long. But it's something that you got to stick to, and you almost have to overcome and use, like they did to shorten the possessions, make this a low scoring game. Ramir Johnson, I thought, for what it's worth, fought hard, kept his legs moving at times. So
hated to see Irvin.
He got the start. Yeah. And you hopefully that's not a long-term one. Interesting that we didn't see Marquise Step today. The running back to chairs room might continue. And for what it's worth, Irvin was your best pass blocker too, so that might have affected some of the stuff near the end.
It's totally personnel and what you're going up against, physically. I think Ramir and Gabe were probably a good fit for what they were trying to do today, and they both can pass block relatively well.
Yep.
And think about it the same way on the defensive side of the ball too. I said all week, feels like we haven't seen much of JoJo Doman. Feels like a JoJo Doman game. It was a huge JoJo Doman game. He was covering. There was one where he batted a ball down like on a go route, or it was like 30 yards down the field. Deep. They took a shot. I'm like, man, he's right there, and he's behind the line of scrimmage. So he did a good job today for Nebraska. A couple other guys on the defense too, but my thoughts are kind of everywhere right now. I don't know where to go.
I will say this too: the one pass to Travis Vokalek, which was huge, the 38-yard pass.
Yeah.
If they didn't score that touchdown after that, that would be one we'd be talking about. We don't have to talk about it because Adrian ended up running it in, but that should have been a touchdown.
For sure.
And that might come back to bite in some of those games.
He
but
brought it in
at the same time
by the fingertips.
That Xavier Betts deep ball couldn't have been thrown any better.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Back to the phones here. We got Kyle on the line. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Awesome. So that game ending, not what I wanted, but I think I want to pump some positivity. It's just great to see Adrian finally get in rhythm with some of his receivers. I think the thing is, like, everybody wants you to win game one, but as everybody who watches college football, there's no gimmies. And I think there is something said from that Buffalo game. They're building on that offense. And anyone who just wants to say that this is, crumbling offensive line, there's some troubles there. They need to work on that. But overall, offensively, to keep Oklahoma to 23 points defensively and offensively, what they saw out there, I think they did a great job. And they're just building on it. And I think there's some positivity to take from this.
I'm with you, Kyle.
I've been hearing a lot of negativity from the fan base, but this team is growing, and you can see it. It's just they got to keep growing.
It's hard. And thanks for the call, Kyle. It's hard because I understand. Like, on one hand, I get it. It was frustrating.
Yeah,
I mean, you had a chance to beat the number 3 team on their own grass, not turf, on their own grass, and you were right there, and you came up a little bit short because of a combination of a bunch of different things, but that's the thing. Nebraska looked physically able to compete in this game. They dictated a lot of what happened today. And that's a positive for me. Right. And that's kind of how I come out of it. Once again, it all depends on how you kind of, how you stack it up against next week. I think there's something to be said about building off the last 2 games too. I wondered about that. Obviously the opponent was different today, and Nebraska was a little more out of their sorts than they were comfort-wise over the last 2 weeks. But we got to get this idea out of our heads, and people, I've seen a lot of texts here coming through at 402-464-5685, like, Frotz was supposed to be this offensive genius, and the offense still sucks. We got to get this out of our heads, guys. We do. They're not going to be UCF. It's just over. They're not going to be UCF. So if we're out there and we think Adrian Martinez is gonna throw for 4,000 yards or whatever it might be, I don't know. It's just they're not going to score 56 points a game. We wondered if they could score 30 today. They obviously didn't. They haven't in now 12 of their last 14 tries against FBS teams. They haven't scored 30 points. So what they have to do is adapt to what they have. And what they have is a freaking star quarterback and a really good defense. The rest of it needs to come back up. But this is what they have right now. And with this, they can win football games.
Well, and I think, particularly when you talk about what's coming up, we saw again an Omar Manning sighting, 2 receptions for 52 yards, 2 big receptions and that touchdown. Xavier Betts, 3 receptions for 61, including that 55-yarder. Your tight ends were back. Hopefully get Oliver Martin back next week. I think that wide receiver unit is pretty solid. You still have the problem with the offensive line and the running backs. Probably don't have an all Big Ten back there. But what it's worth with the offensive line too, it began to become less true as the game got closer to the end, but they gave Adrian time throughout that ball game a lot of the time. So you can't just say offensive line penalties, they're awful. Right. They did have a pretty good game protecting Martinez, and then toward the end, there was more pressures on him, but you expected that all game long. So Nebraska, going back to what you expected coming into what you saw, we were worried about that pass rush from Oklahoma. I don't know how many sacks they ended up having, maybe 2 or 3, and the pressures were there here and there. But for the most part, I thought the offensive line did good in pass protection, considering what they were up against.
Tim says no one is asking for UCF. We're asking for more than 16 points with 6 trips inside the 30. Holy straw man! This is just what I hear. Right? I'm reading text from the text line that say Frost is this offensive genius, and we need to fire him because he's not an offensive genius. He's clearly not an offensive genius. They need to get better. They need to punch balls into the end zone. They need to be able to trust their kicker, right? That came back to bite them quite a bit today. Yeah. All this stuff needs to get better. I'm not telling you that it doesn't. And I'm not trying to excuse the offense because it's incredibly frustrating to watch at times. But what I'm saying is they can win with this. They can win with what they have. And I honestly, the thought kind of hit my mind about 3/4 through that game when it felt like Nebraska was going to be in this for the long haul, 4-quarter football game. And I thought to myself, what happened in that Illinois game?
Yeah.
What happened? And I think Nebraska very clearly is a totally different football team right now than they were 3-4 weeks ago.
I think they beat Illinois most times if you put them on the field.
Yeah.
They just didn't that game.
And you can't erase the loss. It is what it is, but they're just in better position to make it happen at this point.
And to your point, Nebraska's offense is a lot closer to the offense that averaged 22 points per game last year than UCF's offense. That's what you're ultimately saying is, hopefully it's growing and getting better year by year, but it's just not there. And I'm still convinced Frost, you saw some of the play calls today, a little bit more creative. I'm convinced if you gave Frost Ohio State's offense, he could average 35 points a game, Yeah. But you're limited when you don't have a run game up the middle that you can really trust, and you're limited when you don't have that plus big play threats. Well, they've addressed one of those problems. They have big play threats. Samari Toure has been their big play threat throughout the year. It wasn't today. Today was more Betts and Manning to a degree. So it's interesting. But they're making strides. It's not. They're not going to turn over into that the offense is going to be the strength of the team over the night. Again, to me, the story of this game and the momentum you build from it is that the defense gave up 21 points. The special teams gave up 2, but the defense gave up 21 points to the preseason Heisman favorite in an Oklahoma offense that seemingly, no matter what quarterback you throw in it, has been great under Lincoln Riley. They have 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, 2 Heisman Trophy winners. This is not an easy offense to hold down, and Nebraska's defense did it today.
All right, plenty more from you guys here, 402-464-5685. Jeff and Zach, hang on the line. Zach will be next, but we do have to take a break here. We'll come back. Husker After Party postgame show. More up next.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education Schedule of classes is arriving in your mailbox. Learn CPR and first aid, or choose a path in trades and industrial technology like automotive or welding, or computers and technology like social media and web development and design, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like making door signs or woodworking. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and local friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
At Eustace Body Shop, the health and safety of team members, customers, and the communities they serve is of utmost importance. All locations remain open and committed to serving customers. For the safety of customers, Eustace Body Shop has an online estimating tool to assess damages without bringing your car to the shop. When you're ready for repairs, they'll pick up your vehicle, complete repairs, and sanitize the interior before delivering it to you. Eustace Body Shop thanks you for your support and looks forward to serving you as we navigate these difficult times. Details at EustaceBodyShop.com.
Tailgating is back, and Sartor Heyman Jewelers is offering a deal that'll really fire you up. Receive a free Traeger grill with a purchase of $2,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has dazzling jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a free Traeger grill. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and get them while they're hot. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their new Empyrean, New Belgium, and Prost selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage shop at 1801 Oak Street.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Now that Ken Richards has purchased Broker's Agency, he and his professional staff will continue to provide their clients with the same excellent service under the Broker's Insurance Agency name. Broker's Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Broker's Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancene.com.
Back to the Husker Afterparty postgame show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Husker Afterparty postgame show brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Southeast Community College, discover your path to possible at SCC. Learn more about their programs at southeast.edu. And N Street Drive-In, this month's beer specials are from Glacial Till and Cosmic Eye. Grab those or anything else from their large variety of options at 18th and Connor Happer, Jake Bachhoven back with you on the Husker Afterparty postgame show. Let's get straight back to the calls here. We got Zach on the line. Zach, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Pretty good.
All right, all I gotta say, first and foremost, Eric Shenander, give that man a raise. Him and his entire defensive staff. I was the first person to criticize them when they got here. Man, they've shut me up. Hell, as far as I'm concerned, he could be the head coach. Everything else, I mean, it's been 4 years. We still can't find a kicker. There's not a guy in all of Nebraska that can make an extra point, at least. The offensive line, man, once again, 4 years, Well, guys, it's one of those where, yes, we were so close with Oklahoma. Yes, they're the number 3 team in the country. I should be over here ecstatic that we only lost by less than 2 touchdowns?
7.
But that's almost what makes it more frustrating is watching the way we played and how close it was. We should have won that game, man. But the only reason we lost was coaching and discipline.
Yeah.
It's getting so tiring to see it, man. We should have won that game. We should have won that game. And anyone who says different is wrong. Man, it's getting tired. I'm tired of watching it. That's just, thanks for taking my call, boys. Have a wonderful night.
You got it, Zach. I appreciate you. Like here, there's 2 thoughts. There's a lot of different thoughts going on from this game. I'm with you. It's an emotional kind of wreck as you kind of unpack this thing. It is disappointing that Nebraska didn't win today. I don't know about you guys, and I get that Nebraska lost, and you can't pull yourself away from the result because the result is the result. Nebraska lost, and yeah, I think they did have a chance to win that football game today. But during it, did I enjoy it? Like, did I feel like Nebraska had, like, they weren't just teetering on the brink of death the entire game? No, I didn't feel that way. I felt like they were in it. Yeah. I didn't feel like they were, There was mistakes in the game that were made. There will be mistakes in football games that will be made. It does seem to happen to Nebraska at the worst times. As I've said, those things need to be closer and closer and closer to clean up the field goal kicking, the offensive line. But you're also, like, if you want to do the coaching thing in game, I'm all ears. I'm here for it. I didn't see that much of that today really crop up, but also the criticism for me is over the last couple of years has been not playing to what your personnel says you have. I think Nebraska, and you'll come away from that game saying, wow, talent wise, they might be right there. You said that over the last couple of years too, but they have adjusted and tweaked enough to make it so you can actually be in these games. And that for me is a plus. And it's a bigger plus than having a couple false start penalties in a hostile environment, and it's not just that. I don't want to minimize it to just that, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, and there's trends that continue that are frustrating that might land on coaching. You have to give the play calling as far as coaching, especially Shenander going up against a wizard in Lincoln Riley. A lot of credit for his play calling today. Offensively, maybe you don't care as much for the play calling, but I think more to your point, I liked it because it wasn't, hey, let's go try to take Oklahoma stride for stride in what they do. It's more, let's slow down the ball game, understand our defense is our strength, and try to hit some big plays when we can, convert on a lot of key third downs. Nebraska was 6 of 14 on third downs. That's not awful, it's under 50%, but against an Oklahoma team for this limited of an offense, it's not awful. So, I mean, I see a lot of this, if your narrative is stacking this game on top of 4 years of frustration, then it's going to continue and you're going to be mad. But if you try to look at it as just the way, it's just the feeling. I think that's more than anything. It's the feeling I had in the fourth quarter, even when Nebraska just made that stop just to give the offense a chance, knowing it wasn't a 2-minute drill, is wow. We're like this. We're here. This is an important game in college football. Nebraska matters right now. And I know it's not their season record or anything like that, but that's the first time in a long time. There's been wins over the years where they have big plays, and I'll just say, yeah, I want to see you do that against a good team. This is the measuring stick game, and you had a chance as the seconds ticked off the clock. You had a chance. That
3 weeks
just
ago
didn't happen.
3 weeks ago, Bach, Nebraska was on national TV, and they were embarrassed by Illinois. You saw all the college football writers being like, what is going on over there? Is Frost going to make it to October? Like, what is happening? And 3 weeks later, they took the number 3 team in the country down to the last possession in their house. They had their crowd shut up for the majority of the game. Oklahoma fans came into this game nervous because of the way that their football team was playing, and they were doubled down on that pretty much immediately. Nebraska, like, it could have easily gone the other way where they hit a 70-yard touchdown pass right out of the gate, and Nebraska is just a flopping fish on the floor again.
Yeah.
Like, it could have gone that way, and it didn't today. And I know the standard is certainly dropped, and that's the response to that. Like, man, what are we? We're just expecting, this. But if that's not progress, that's what we want here, right? And at a certain point, it is about hardcore results, wins and losses, but maybe not against this team today.
What I think it's important to note, too, is that for years, it's just, again, I go back to the same thing when I watch Nebraska play Ohio State or Oklahoma, and it's 2 or 3 drives in, and you go, oh, they don't have the athletes to play with this team.
Yep.
That didn't happen today, and I don't know. I'm not convinced that Spencer Rattler's as good as his predecessors. I'm not convinced that Oklahoma is the team that they've been in the past several years. I think they might drop in the rankings a little bit because Nebraska does have that loss to Illinois. That's on the record. Tulane's not a pretty game. But in any case, I mean, this was a competitive game against the number 3 team in the nation. That's where we are today. You may not think Oklahoma's that good. They're number 3 as it is of today, and they're a part of an elite company. They get the benefit of the doubt among like maybe 6 teams in college football
because they've been to the playoff every year.
Yeah, because year in and year out, they're one of those top teams. So I'm not going to question it too much. But boy, oh boy, you talk about an opportunity. You talk about an opportunity to really split this argument that fans are going to have after this game. And I can see why, because there was a lot to complain about, and there's a lot to think that Nebraska's moving in the right direction. You got a chance against Michigan State next week, top 25. We've been saying that they're going to be top 25, I believe. They beat Miami 38 to 17. Yeah. They look a lot better. So you're going to have the opportunity, if you want to argue that you're in the middle or, trying to move up in the Big Ten, that's the opportunity that can kind of, split this argument.
No arguments here, Bach. No arguments here. They gotta couple these things together. It's something that they've failed to do. It's a big criticism of mine. Think about a win that you had against Penn State last year. Like, okay, we're kind of turning here. And then you have the poop fest against Illinois, right? So you have to pair these things back to back to back. But Nebraska's played 3 pretty solid football games in a row now, and they're trying to make it a 4th and then stack it on. All right, sorry, back to you guys. Here we go. Let's see. Jeff's on the line. Hey, Jeff, thanks for holding. What's going on?
Hey, fellas, great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What I love is, and you guys are on it. This was the most fun game to watch I've seen in 10 years. My son and I were up yelling at the TV right up till the end. And I can't remember, usually I just sit on the couch and just kind of like, all right, here's our game. And we go along, but it was, it was a blast to watch. And I think it was one of the few games that I've seen where Frost didn't get out coached.
I don't think so.
Unfortunately, it seems like he has been, but he actually stepped up. I thought the coaching was good. Why, when we have momentum and we're 2nd and 1 and we can't get under center and just do a quarterback sneak for 1 yard, I have no clue. But it was a blast. The team is doing well, played hard. There's no moral victories. I think we're good enough to win. Oklahoma, definitely not a number 3 team, maybe top 25, but we're at their house. Played tough, and it was good. But, now it's just how do we go going forward? Great job, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Once again, 402-464-5685. Yeah, I don't know what to make about the whole Oklahoma conversation. Maybe at the end of the year, they won't be the number 3 team in the country. Keep in mind, teams, when they've gotten Oklahoma before, have gotten them earlier in the year. They've had 2 games that have looked an awful lot like a couple of their losses over the last few years with Tulane and now Nebraska today. I don't know. I didn't see anything to make me think that they were just some 9-3 top 25 team. I don't know. I thought they have the skill guys to really make plays in a really good defensive line that Benito guy was chasing everybody everywhere. Not Ronnie Perkins, the other guy in the middle. Perrin Winfrey was, he was destroying a couple of things in there.
Well, how many 4 and 5 stars do they have coming into the game? I know that was a talk coming in. I mean, they have like 27 4 stars or something, 9 5 stars.
Oh, no, it's more than that.
Maybe more than
that.
No,
it's in that. The total number is in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to me. There's 5 or 6 teams that no matter how well they play, I know they have the roster. By the way, a quick score update: Iowa 2, Kent State nothing.
Perfect. Hey, could you give me a score update on Buffalo?
Oh yeah, let's find Buffalo. They were in that game.
They sure were, and I think somebody mentioned on the text line they were hanging right around there.
Yeah, maybe Nebraska's better than we thought because Buffalo wins.
So if you want to do scoreboard watching and say Oklahoma's not very good or whatever it is because they only beat Tulane by 5, let's go ahead and play that game.
Coastal Carolina won 28-25.
28-25. That's against a top 25 team.
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina sucks.
Yeah.
So you see what you see, right, on the field, and I guess that it's confirmation bias, for a lot of people, but I'm not telling you that Nebraska is gonna win the rest of their games or anything like that, but I do think they have a really good chance to be in all of them. Maybe with I don't know, what does Ohio State look like now?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think today gives you the confidence for, is that we can, you go into any game saying we can play with anybody. Why wouldn't you believe that at this point?
You're listening to the Husker Afterparty postgame show here, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket, and theticketfm.com. The postgame show brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Back to the phones. Travis is on the line. Travis, thanks for holding. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I will say this. First of all, Adrian Martinez shut down the critics because that was the best game I've ever seen him play at Nebraska, it seems like. That interception, that was just an ungodly great catch, so I'm not even mad. But what I will say is I thought we were the better team on the field if you take special teams out of it. Like from offense to defense, because Adrian Martinez threw for more yards. He had 2 touchdowns just like Ratliff did, and almost about the same amount of yards. If Ratliff might have had a little bit more running. But like I said, it was a battle of the defenses, and I truly feel if we, actually put those points back up on the board, we would have been 23-24, 24-26, something like that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Travis. Appreciate it. I didn't really thought about it through that kind of prism, that Nebraska was like the better team on the field that today, but I don't know. Maybe this is just my eyes, but it always feels like Nebraska is fighting somewhat of an uphill battle, especially against a team like that in an environment like that. One of the things I always like to look at as an indicator of that is chunk plays at the end of the games. So how explosive are you?
Yeah.
Right. So Oklahoma chunk plays are categorized rushing gains of 10 plus, passing gains of 15 plus. Oklahoma had 4 pass chunk plays and 5 rush chunk plays. Nebraska had 6 chunk pass plays and 2 chunk rush plays. And I think that pretty well tracks from kind of what we saw in the game. They hit a couple deep balls that were good and a nice couple strikes to Omar Manning over the middle of the field, the big physical presence, and then a big one down the sideline to Betts. That's the kind of, blueprint for success for this team, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think to his point too, I think Adrian Martinez outplayed Spencer Rattler. I mean, I think that's, Rattler did end up getting the win, but Adrian Martinez did have more yards and probably had less help, right? At least from the running game. So I think that you could say that there. I do feel bad. I mean, for Connor Culp, it's tough because, and when you talk about all the,
I don't know what you do.
And you talk about all the problems and you want to put that on Frost and stuff. He did identify that as a problem. It was a problem at the beginning when he came in here. He got Culp, got him to an all Big Ten selection, and now you're here. And it's what, he's 1 of 6 the last 2 games with his career long, by the way, being that one. So
the weirdest
throw
thing
that in there as well. So
everyone is like, after he nails the 50-yarder, is like, yeah, shout out to Connor Culp, man. He
sticking in there,
he just stuck it through. And
that 33, I think it was a 33-yard field goal that he missed, was just a dagger.
Yeah, he
totally
pulled it left.
And Nebraska needed that at that point. Make it a one-possession game.
All right, Husker After Party Postgame Show is brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive. And Randy kind of sums it up well on the text line. We don't even need to be here anymore. He says, that was frustrating. We're getting better.
That's right.
I think that's pretty much it. See, the problem is, Randy, those are two conflicting thoughts, and it's hard to process. But we're here to be your therapist this afternoon. You can call in at 402-464-5685. Tucker and is it Travis again? Both of you guys hang on the line. We'll be right back. More up next.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the sidetrack band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education Schedule of Classes is arriving in your mailbox. Learn CPR and first aid, or choose a path in trades and industrial technology like automotive or welding, or computers and technology like social media and web development and design, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like making door signs or woodworking. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC. Your path to possible.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories in the fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artesian cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake, an original recipe from 1917. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Tailgating is back, and Sartor Heyman Jewelers is offering a deal that'll really fire you up. Receive a free Traeger grill with a purchase of $2,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has dazzling jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a free Traeger grill. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and get them while they're hot. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
What would you do if Nebraska takes the lead in the fourth quarter because Cam Taylor-Britt returns a punt for a touchdown?
I might have some big heart palpitations.
Think about it in the context of the game of the century.
Yeah.
What kind of storyline would that be? Cam Taylor-Britt pushes Nebraska ahead. I'd write about it after Baz and Parker resuscitated.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Now that Ken Richards has purchased Broker's Agency, he and his professional staff will continue to provide their clients with the same excellent service under the Broker's Insurance Agency name. Broker's Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Broker's Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancene.com.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bach from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Last year, the average starting pay for an SCC truck driver training program graduate was $44,720. Southeast Community College can now make that a reality in only 8 weeks with its professional truck driver training class starting in October. SCC's fleet of 12 trucks and professional instructors will prepare you for a new career. You'll end the course with your Class A CDL. Learn more about SCC's professional truck driver training class at southeast.edu/truckdriver. SCC, your path to possible.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence.
Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their new Empyrean, New Belgium, and Prost selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage shop at 1801 Oak Street.
Back to the Husker After Party postgame show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out.
Wait. Hold on.
Please,
there we go.
Games.
Hold
Simple
on.
as that.
Time out. Hold on, Adrian. Hold on. I was going to have a nice little intro for you, and the buttons were off. Here we go.
Well, you come to a school like Nebraska, you expect to win every game. So our guys aren't into moral victories. They want to win games. Simple as that. There are definitely a lot of positives to take away from today, and we will do that once we watch the film. But at the end of the day, we lost the game, so that is that.
I love moral victories. Adrian, you speak for yourself.
That's right.
I'm a huge moral victory.
And I don't believe you. I think that the locker room is probably a little bit upset because they did feel that they had a chance to win that game. Anytime you're a competitor and you make those mistakes that might have cost your team, you're thinking about that after the game. But I think that the feeling's going to be back a little bit because it's just interesting. It's interesting to see what the field is going to be like. But you got a big opponent coming in next week. You played well this past week. I think that there's going to be more energy in the locker room this weekend.
It's such a huge week.
It is.
It's good to feel this way. Like this is such an important game. There's an amount of pressure on it, but not in the same way of like it was against Illinois, where it was if we lose this game we're hosed. That type of thing, or where it was against Oklahoma is like, please don't get blown out. It's like there is a good opponent across the field from us next week. They just beat the crap out of Miami today. Michigan State did, and they've looked pretty good so far this year. And I think Nebraska will. I mean, I'd be curious to see what the opening line is. Probably Michigan State by 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
Be close.
I'd say a little more than that, but not much more because, I think that Nebraska is going to get some respect coming out of this game, and as well they should. And Michigan State, again, they're still. I mean, is Miami good? That's where you start to get to that question. I know
you can't do this.
The further you get into it, the less serious it is. But
is Alabama good? They beat Miami.
We know Alabama's good. Alabama destroyed Miami like you expected. And then Miami played a bad team and won by 2 and then played Michigan State and lost by a lot. So maybe Miami's not good.
Maybe Miami's not good. So maybe Michigan State's not good.
But I think Michigan
maybe
State's
Nebraska's not good because Oklahoma's not good.
Eventually you can keep saying everybody's not good. I think you have 2 good teams playing in Michigan State and Nebraska next week.
I would tend to say that
not great.
Well.
Not great.
Tucker is next on the Husker After Party postgame show. Tucker, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, I just wanted to, chime in and let everybody know that, with all this beating down on our players all the time and beating down our coach, and, we have coaches cycling in and out, and, that was a big problem for us. And I just wanted to remind everybody that our coach is a championship player. He was a championship coach. And what I seen today and witnessed during this game was heart and testicle fortitude.
Oh,
these boys went out there and went up against the number 3 team in the nation.
Say it again.
And came a gnat away from taking it to the house in a hostile environment. Proud, proud, proud. We're in Humboldt, Nebraska here. We're having our September fair, and you know, the mood with the people are just, everybody's ecstatic from what they've seen today. And we just really need to encourage our coach and our players that they're on the right track. They're doing the right things. And I think we came just a gnat's butt away from whooping Oklahoma. And that's the best game I've seen them play in a long time. And I'm just so proud of them. And I think the state of Nebraska is proud. And we need to remember that moral victories are a part of learning how to be a champion. Because when you're demoralized, you just seem to climb inside yourself and, you know, you just regress. So today was really an enlightening thing to see. And hats off to the boys, man. They really played their hearts out. We're so proud of them.
Thanks, Tucker. I appreciate the call. I appreciate the enthusiasm as well. Testicular fortitude.
Yes.
All day
I don't
long.
think he said testicular. He said testicle fortitude, which I like better.
Yeah, I'll go back to this. You just hope that they can kind of carry this over. And I think he kind of hit on it there too. They just have needed a little bit of positive reinforcement off of kind of the daily grind, and maybe Fordham and Buffalo provided that a little bit. But you get a few games like this a year where you get to walk out in front of everybody and play a team that you're going to be measured against eventually. I mean, whether it's right now or not, you're going to be, you find out how far you are away from Oklahoma, and the result tells you what it is, or the game tells you what it is. And Nebraska was closer than I expected them to be today. And maybe that's my fault for having a lower expectation. But I think that's a positive sign for me at the very least. Like, we get this from Faisal 5 times on the text line. He says, will you still be preaching progress after they lose to Michigan State and Northwestern? If Nebraska loses to Michigan State and Northwestern, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's a different
because today told me when they played against Oklahoma that they're the type of team that could and maybe even should beat Michigan State and Northwestern. By the way, those are two completely different teams.
That's different now.
Yeah. Michigan State, maybe. Northwestern, you have to beat them.
Like, that's what makes this Michigan State game so interesting now, is because before it was like, that's a gimme game. Mel Tucker didn't have a good first year. Their offense is just in disarray. Today, their quarterback goes out and throws 4 touchdowns. Again, they're going to be top 25 going into the game. Nebraska, if you play close and even lose to Sparty on the road in a night game, I could see some improvement there. Might not be enough for most of the fan base, but Northwestern's a completely different story. They haven't looked good so far this year.
Gotta beat them.
You need to beat Northwestern, and it's just going to be one of those things where this year, when you're going for that bowl game in 6-6, I know we've all talked about you've got to get it done before those final 3 games. It might come down to your last 2 games, Wisconsin and Iowa. Not unbeatable teams, especially with a game plan like Nebraska had in this game, to get over the hump against one of those teams to get to a bowl game, which might save the job. It's going to be a fascinating season, because I think this A team has some more frustrating losses ahead of it and some more good wins ahead of it. And we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of split feelings like we had today.
8 games left. You're 2-2. You got to find 4 more.
Yeah.
Somehow, and maybe even more. Right. That'd be nice. And I think they're capable potentially of more. But the way I see it, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this at 402-464-5685. Like, are we back to kind of even square one on the whole narrative roller coaster of this team right now? Illinois was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, and we shouldn't forget about how horrible it was.
No.
But the last 2 games paired along with the result today has really loosened the shoulders for me a whole lot. And I think it's loosened the shoulders inside that program. I said this week, it's a team at the very least that should be confident in themselves the way that they played against Fordham and Buffalo. You don't know how that's going to translate to an opponent like Nebraska played today. But they played loose and aggressive, and they played their style of football. All that identity talk over the after Illinois, I haven't really heard much of that over the last 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So That's a positive. I don't know, man. Like that's kind of just where I come out on this one. The results are going to be the results over the last 8 games. And really, I mean, there's not going to be much room for moral victories in that.
Not moving forward.
Ohio State, maybe. I mean, that's one that you're expected to lose. I wonder what the point spread will be like in that game. Who knows what they'll be like when we get to that point in the season. But now it's result. It's like 8-game season. You're 0-0 kind of. And I don't want to throw away Illinois because it was so mind-boggling and terrible. But I do think this team is on the better side of that now.
Well, and two, now I'm starting to do my own math, and okay, well, where's your victory? Where's your victory? The Big Ten's really good.
It is.
Minnesota today, 30-0 over the Buffaloes, held them to 63 yards. That's Colorado Buffaloes. Negative 19 yards rushing. So that's one that I would say, Nebraska should win against Minnesota. Oh, but that defense is playing, they're lights out. Purdue only down 7 at half to Notre Dame. That's another game that I would say, okay, that's one Nebraska needs to win to go bowling. Purdue's undefeated, and again, within 7 of Notre Dame right now. So
these are the teams that you're judging yourself.
These are the teams, and those are the teams that are, that I think that Nebraska is going to have to win if you're going to want to get to a bowl game. Northwestern, I would put that there. Michigan, looked great today. It's just you're not going to have any week off. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
There's no more Illinois on the schedule.
No more Illinois, no more Fordhams,
no
more Buffaloes, and no more Oklahomas. Really,
yeah.
Maybe Ohio State, like I said, but. Nebraska the expectation needs to be that Nebraska's in it. And if they fall on the wrong side of that and they only win 2 out of their last 8, then it's not progress.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty black and white, I think, at that point.
But I think just if you do the 4-year thing, you can be frustrated. But if you do just has Nebraska gotten a lot better from week 1? After the last 2 weeks, we said absolutely. At this 3rd week, cements it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're ready to play with just about anybody they step on the field with, and they're going to have to, as I mentioned, because that schedule is going to be difficult. But that defense is going to keep them in the ball games, and they're having guys step up offensively at the wide receiver, and obviously Adrian Martinez is playing, I think, the best ball of his career. So you've got a lot of things rolling for you if you're Nebraska. You got to clean things up. Sometimes it's despite the coaching and certain areas in the kicking problem. I just don't know what you're going to do about that, because then you go back to where it was in Scott Frost's first year, where they had to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
There was just no field goal range, and I don't think it's going to get there because again, Connor Cope can hit 50-yarders, but you might have to make a change at this point. I'm not sure.
I don't know what you do. We're going to go back to the phones. Let's do that right now, but I do want to address a text desperately from the Starter Heyman text line. But let's go back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline here. We got Travis on the line. Hey, Travis, thanks for holding. How are you?
Hey, good, guys. I just wanted to say, speaking of the Big Ten, if this was Iowa or Wisconsin that just played Oklahoma, number 3 team in the country, all the way down to the wire, that we're worried about timeouts and can they go down the field and score. Iowa and Wisconsin, they'd be just praised and holy cow, why couldn't we ever do that type thing? But since it's us, we gotta act like, well, Oklahoma's just not that good. Maybe they're just not as good as we thought they were.
Yeah.
So I just give us a break here. I'm pretty proud of the team, to be honest with you. We came out there and bust our butts. If you can't see that this is a different team than last year, the receivers, the fight that we had, you obviously, I don't know, maybe I've never played competitive sports or something. I don't know what the deal is, but if you compare us consistently to some of these callers calling in to I don't know if they think we're Alabama or Clemson, how dare you make a bad play, or how dare you, this is same old. If you didn't see something there today, heart and fight, then I don't know what you're watching, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Travis.
Yep,
you got one more thought?
No, I just going to say, a few people that I've known to be pretty skeptics of the Huskers, at the end of this game came out and just kind of blindsided me. They're like, I tell you what, I'm really proud of this team. They'd never quit. It was fight. It was awesome. I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
So I can't, some of these callers calling in that just everything's the same, everything's crap. It's just like, wow, okay, maybe just go get maybe a different hat or something. Just move on. But
thank you, Travis.
All right, guys.
Yep, appreciate the call once again. 402-464-5685. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we just get into this. It's the whole echo chamber thing. We get into this thing where it's like everything is bad, and obviously we focus on Nebraska a lot, and we oftentimes think that we're the only team that has problems anywhere. Period. Right? Oklahoma has problems too.
Yep.
Michigan State has problems too. But obviously we focus so hard on ours that when any little thing happens, it's time to jump all over them. I don't know. Maybe it is time to take a little bit of a step back and look at what the total product and outcome was today. And like I've been saying this whole time, it's a net gain for me. I'm with you. I'll level with you on frustration. Yes, frustration in that Nebraska seemingly was there. Maybe not had the number 3 team in the country or whatever. We don't have to do that. We could just say Oklahoma. They had Oklahoma, or they were there and they had a chance to win against Oklahoma. That's all I mean, if you would have told me that at the start of today, I would have been like, yep, sign me up right away. I don't really care what happens during the game. And it pretty much stayed to script on how Nebraska had to win this game. So that tells you that Nebraska had a lot to do with getting themselves to that position. Yeah, they were going to need a couple mistakes from Oklahoma today, as we said pre-week. I mean, they didn't. Did they turn the ball over?
Oklahoma didn't. No.
Yeah. If you would have told me that they didn't turn the ball over, and Nebraska lost 1-0. And there was the pick that was one arm.
Yeah, which was on a 4th down.
So let's just say that it was 0-0.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably a win for Nebraska because it turned into a slower, type of game that Nebraska, I think, had to play to win today. A lot of things went well for them. They still weren't able to get it done. But the fact that a lot of things went well for them is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think it's the second week in a row where there's points on the board that you think should be there. And so maybe again that sort of stuff, if you put that in that category, you're getting frustrated with the kicking game, getting frustrated with the penalties. You do have to credit the offense this year, which has been pretty turnover prone in the Frost era, I guess, to a degree. Especially Martinez has been pretty fumble prone. That scoop and score against Illinois is what everybody's going to remember. But they haven't been turning the ball over, and just to have that one again, which was basically Adrian throwing it in the double coverage with the best chance of anybody catching it. I don't even think it was the guy that caught it.
It was a 4th down play.
Yeah,
it wasn't going anywhere.
It was just a desperate heave and attempt to keep that drive going. So that one shouldn't even count. I just, it is a good ball game played by Nebraska to keep Oklahoma that close, to be in that game at the end, with how much that game mattered to Nebraska fans, kind of that game of the century, all that stuff. And Scott Frost talked about it this week. Maybe they can play a little bit more loose because they have nothing to lose. Hopefully they can keep whatever that energy is moving forward.
Let me ask people this. How did you feel? How did you feel about the 2022 Oklahoma game before today?
Yeah.
How did you feel about Oklahoma making the return trip to Lincoln next year? It's like, well, another chance to get blown out by another name brand school on our home field. You don't feel that way anymore. I can't wait till they come up here next September.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be awesome. That crowd is going to be electric. People will be foaming at the mouth for this thing next year. It will be awesome. I don't know that I expected to have that attitude after today.
No.
That was a fun game. There was pregame trash talk.
Yes.
Right? And they backed it up. They played well enough to be in that game and make it a 4-quarter game and put them on their heels a little bit. That's a good thing. I'm not here to defend it all day long, but there's still things that are wrong, but I'm on the positive side. Back to the phones here. We got Dave on the line. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Connor. Hey, Bob. I'm listening to you guys in headphones while I'm watching games, but yeah, next year, that depends on if Adrian comes back. Or does he use his 5th year to go, who knows, to school like Notre Dame, Florida, or yeah.
Keep that idea to yourself, maybe.
Look, he could,
yeah.
Let's say he goes next year to another team with a better supporting cast or a better offensive line. If he comes back to Nebraska, yeah, but if he uses his 5th year and goes somewhere else, who knows? But I'm glad you guys were talking about the schedule. Look at the last 8 games. You might be playing 5 ranked teams. Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Iowa. You know, there's such a fine line between 4-8 and 6-6. You know, it's Purdue, Northwestern, 2 wins, the rest losses. You know, Michigan State looked like a better team today than Oklahoma.
But here's the thing,
you know?
Dave, let me give you this then. Like, if Nebraska would have lost today by the amount that they were supposed to lose by, you would have looked at those games and said, "Oh my God, it is a death march. We are in big trouble." And I just I don't feel that way right now.
Thought the same game because see, it's still a game on the road. You know, so for some reason, Frost has a hard time winning the game on the road. Why is that? Why is that? I mean, you still got Minnesota, Wisconsin, you know.
And to be fair, they had trouble winning games at home, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But the road gets tougher, guys. It's not going to be easy. And, my God, if they don't – you know what's funny is the guys next behind me, they were saying, Jesus, Nebraska O-line's terrible. You hear some funny comments in the casino. You know, the guy behind me said, God, this O-line is trash, you know, but – anyway, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you,
I'll see
Dave.
this week on
Yeah.
the phones.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, as always. Once again, 402-464-5685. Well, okay, let's play the same game on the other side then. Let's just, try to even things out. Yeah, man, you watch Nebraska's offensive line. Well, I don't know. They gotta really figure things out. What if you're an Oklahoma fan in the stands today? What are you thinking? Like, if you're me, if you're the version of me in Norman, if you're like Tyler McComas, who came on our show on Thursday, what's your postgame show right now?
About?
I guarantee you it's a lot worse than this one.
They're really worried, yeah. Because they don't look like that number 3 team, at least thus far in the season. But I mean, I'll admit, it is what it is.
Everybody's got their problems.
From people that have watched the Illinois game and then watched this Oklahoma game, and just some of those penalties stacked up against each other, especially that first drive. I don't know how anybody that you could just start watching football and say that offensive line is costing them on that first drive. They had 4 penalties. My God. So yeah, at times the offensive line has been an absolute struggle, and it continues. They can't get much of a run game going with that offensive line, the traditional run game going with the running backs. But again, you're going to have holes. You're going to have weaknesses on your team. It's about overcoming them. It's about game planning for them. And that's what Nebraska is beginning to do. So to your point, what you were trying to make to Dave, and I don't think he bit, was that if you have 5 games against top 25 opponents, now after playing the number 3 team to 7 points, I don't go, automatic loss. There's 5 losses. How do you win the other games? It's you need to win some of those. And I think that's what this program needs more than anything. If you're talking about the evaluation of Frost, is, 6-6 doesn't sound like a great record to begin with. But with where you are, it would be the goal, right? So, you don't want to lay up. You don't want a layup of a 6-6. You don't want it to be like, well, Frost technically is going to keep his job because he made a bowl game, and here you want them to have to earn it and to actually look like the program's getting better. So it's going to be an exciting season.
I just don't feel like it's a crime for me to say I liked today.
I did too.
But I'm not saying give him an extension and make him the coach forever.
Yeah,
they have holes. There's things that they're not able to do, and that you wish were way better by now. Yes, we should still hold them to that standard. But this season is not the death march that I thought it was going to be on August 29th. It's not anymore. It's taken on a completely different light for me now. All right, we got one final timeout here on the Husker After Party postgame show. We're going to take you until about 4 or just shy of 4 before we send it out to DP at Tanner's. So final call for you guys to get your calls and questions or thoughts in. We'll hear from Scott Frost on the other side. We could play some more from Adrian Martinez as well. Husker After Party postgame show brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. We'll be right back. More up next.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories in the fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artesian cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake, an original recipe from 1917. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Where will you go next? The Southeast Community College Fall 2021 Continuing Education schedule of classes is arriving in your mailbox. Take a class in leadership and professional development, like real estate license prep, business courses like accounting and financials, or building a business plan, or 19 pages of personal interest classes like dog grooming, making jewelry, or even charcuterie. The entire schedule is online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
State Farm, this is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But you know, State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing!
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Tailgating is back, and Sartor Heyman Jewelers is offering a deal that'll really fire you up. Receive a free Traeger grill with a purchase of $2,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has dazzling jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a free Traeger grill. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and get them while they're hot. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is Brad Moline, president of Allo Communications. I'm proud to say that Allo is supporting the FCC's Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. We are committed to bringing high-quality internet to everyone in our fiber communities. If you qualify for federal support or have been financially impacted during the pandemic, you may receive free 500 megabit internet from Allo. To find out more, please stop by the Allo store or go to allofiber.com/EBB.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Need a better job? Looking for a career? Gaina Trucking and Excavating is what you're looking for. They are a rapidly growing company looking for a heavy mechanic. Gaina Trucking and Excavating offers a team culture with lots of benefits, including 401k, health, annual raises, paid vacation, holidays, and much more. It's a great career opportunity. Want to love what you do? Join the Gaina Trucking team. Apply online at www.gainatrucking.com. That's www.gainatrucking.com.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric has been serving Lincoln and Southeast Nebraska for over 50 years. They've been a trusted name to deliver honest, quality services you can count on. It's always important to know someone you can trust, whether it's for your home or your business. Action is well established and offers convenience and reliability, always committed to a job done right. Give them a call or visit their website at actionlincoln.com. Action, your proud sponsor of the Ticket Postgame Show. Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their new Empyrean, New Belgium, and Prost selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage shop at 1801 Oak Street.
Back to the Husker After Party postgame show. Brought to you by Southeast Community College on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Both. Well, the first thing I got to do is congratulate Oklahoma. That's a fine football team with some really good coaches and a bunch of talent. I'm so proud of our players and how they fought and competed with that type of team on the road. I told them after the game, everything they want to accomplish this year is right in front of them. We're going to get more opportunities to win a big game. But if they play like that, like we played today all year and fight that hard all year, we're going to have a chance in a lot of games. And as disappointed as I am, I'm happy for the way that they competed.
Well summed up by Scott Frost,
Yeah.
I think.
I'm surprised he gave some respect to Oklahoma. I thought he was mad about the pregame scuffle. He was right in the middle of that.
Said it's a fine team.
It's a fine team.
Not like, oh, they're fine, but like they're a fine team. Like
Yeah.
you were in the 1940s or whatever.
At least we didn't have any boo-boos today from Scott Frost.
Okay, I'm curious about this one. So they had the big play down the sideline to Betts late in the game. Next play, they were very confused as to what was happening, and Adrian just had to like take a dive, basically. He was asked about that, and here's what he said what happened.
I don't know what happened. We have to talk.
Perfect.
Is that it?
No, that's not it.
Oh, yeah.
That's not
I
it.
don't know what
But I
happened.
love the answer on that. I don't really know. I don't either.
I don't know what happened. We have to talk. I didn't want to burn the timeout, but we signaled in basically trips right, and we called trips right. It either got signaled in wrong or they lined up wrong. And Adrian made a decision not to burn a timeout and to try to get what he could on the play. Those things can't happen. So I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't watching the signaler, but no, that was costly.
You know, I don't know. I don't want to make too much out of that. Just little miscommunication, because I assume things like that happen often, assuming it was a miscommunication. But it's because you saw they cut away to Frost. He was trying to signal in stuff late, and Adrian was kind of like, all right, I'm just gonna have to do this so we don't have to burn a timeout here. Like that could be an example where you're like, yeah, maybe it would be better if Frost wasn't that active in calling the offense.
Yeah.
And I would tend to agree with that. That's probably a good example.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, but again, I mean, I think he called a pretty good game today.
Yeah,
so.
no, yeah. I mean, it's worked out so far this year, but I go back to the thoughts in the offseason. Like if he's got Lubick there, and Lubick, like him and Lubick share the same brain, then why not just have Frost focus on the big picture, clock management / whatever he needs to do in that moment to be in it, rather than like trying to signal something in late.
Yeah, but especially as an offensive guy and on a play,
yeah. I mean, it's his deal. Yeah,
he'd probably want to be involved in it.
That's for sure. Here's Frost on Gabe Ervin and his status.
Yeah, we're gonna reevaluate him when he gets back. Looks like he could miss a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
He had a little bit of a crease there.
He did. Yeah, he would have definitely picked up the first down. It was only like 2nd and 1 or whatever it was. But yeah, anytime you get a non-contact injury, it's just like, man.
Don't show me the replays either, Fox.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Fox for a moment?
My God, how many commercials do they sell? Good job on Fox for selling commercials, but we didn't get any replays that we wanted most of the time.
You would think with that many commercials that we would get better cameramen.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Hey, Joe Klatt in that car. I'm going to go buy that car. Joe Klatt is a stud. He made that car look a lot better.
The Fox cameraman or camera person was awful. Could not follow the ball to save their life.
No.
Adrian threw a ball in the I think it was the 2nd quarter to Austin Allen for a first down, and Gus and Joel are talking about it. I'm like, I don't know what just happened. They're like, yeah, he caught it for a first down. I was like, I don't know, could be an interception. Who knows? It's still on Adrian.
The one where it looked like they were going to do a little sprint out option, and Adrian just dropped back to pass it, and he hit, I think it was Allen, like you said, over the middle. Is that the play you're talking about?
Yeah.
It was like they weren't even close. They got fooled by a play action. There was no play action. They
got fooled by the Rattler play action as bad as the defense did towards the end. They were just like, the running back. Oh no, he has it.
Maybe just go with the wide shot on that.
Yeah,
They're like zoomed in and they're like, oh, it's over here. Nope, the ball's still behind the line of scrimmage.
Gus and Joel, who are the best probably tandem in the business, also didn't have their best day. They had a few mistakes. I remember Joel thinking they were about to get a first down when it was like the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they got it to 4th and 10.
It was 3rd and 19.
It's like, oh, let's take a break because they're going to measure. And we're all like, they're like
not.
10,
what are they
they're
measuring?
like 10 years behind.
Well, it was funny because Ramir Johnson also thought he got a first down. He got up and
like
pointed. Yep.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, it's not It's not. Kid.
Yikes.
Sorry about it. It was sad. They were bragging on the offensive line, as they should have. And Joel Klatt was getting on Cam Jurgens after his second personal foul. Then he saw the replay. He goes, "Oh, actually, that's not that bad. I apologize, Cameron."
So there you go. Goes to show you, everybody has bad days.
That's right.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody has those days. Exactly. Let's see. Here's Frost on Connor Culp. This is a minute long here, so I wonder what goes down here.
Yeah, Connor missed a lot of camp with an injury, and I don't know if it's lack of reps.
Oh, interesting.
Or what it is, but I know how good he can be. I've seen it. It was my decision to put somebody else in to kick, and we went with Kellen. It wasn't so much that he missed the kick; it was kind of his reaction after the kick to me. But then he came back in and hit his next one. Kicking game cost us a bunch of points today, and that's happened too often. Know how much attention to the detail in that has been paid by our coaching staff and our team. We've got to get it figured out.
How would you characterize right now, Scott, your level of confidence with the offensive line?
It's work in progress. I know we got good players up there. Most of them are still young, but we got to move people a little better. It's got to be a little more consistent in the run game. Everything in the offense can work better if we can hand it off and get yards. And yards are tough to get and against a team like this. They're tough to get in the Big Ten with the defenses we see. But we got the guys that can do it. We got to be more consistent.
If I'm going to do a layman's diagnosis on kind of the offensive line right now, rather than just saying, and it's one of the easiest things to do in sports, is like, that guy walked back there and hit your guy behind the line of scrimmage. Offensive line, bad.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not really arguing the result of it. I would say this for Nebraska's offensive line. First of all, don't discount the fact that they could get better. I think it has been small increments better than what it was starting off against Illinois. But mainly I see an offense that likes to utilize zone blocking a lot, and they also talk about kind of getting downhill a little bit as well. And then in that, you had a bunch of guys that you've recruited and kind of stacked up that are younger, that you've collected over the last couple of years, that look to me like it's a little bit of a mixture, but I think you have more of a mauler offensive line than a shifty
technique sound, or
yeah. Right. Yeah. Technique sound. Because that's kind of what that's all about, feet and hands and eyes, rather than just like, I'm going to move this guy in front of me. So some of that is the way the offense functions, and some of that is the way the players are and what they've kind of recruited to. There needs to be a marriage of that. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of a focal point for me, just when I diagnose offensive problems in general.
Well, and they've got size, and so that's exciting, is that you've at least got the frames to build around, and a lot of that stuff too is when you talk about the actual plays and run blocking, yeah, that hasn't been good, but a lot of it, is just don't jump off or false start,
sure.
Which has been a problem for them, but not too many holding penalties, so that as far as technique sound has been pretty good. I mean, in general, they, not just today, but in general, they don't seem to get a whole lot of holding penalties. They seems to do that pre-snap penalties that seems to catch them a lot. And then of course the problems, getting things going up the middle with the running game. So, but again, it's a young offensive line. It's big, but in a few years, you hope to get, the fruits of all the labor that you're putting in right now of having all these guys get so many reps.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to be the strength of this year's team. So again, it is what it is. And the fact that they're able to accept it, try to get those. I mean, I love Ramir Johnson because it looks like he's going to fight to get extra yards that you might not be able to, create yourself. Yeah, we haven't seen that too much out of anybody in the backfield for a while. So that might be something good to look forward to. And so yeah, again, the offensive lines have typically gotten better under Scott Frost as the year progresses, and that happens probably a lot of places because you get more continuity with the guy next to you. It's just it's kind of hard to get a whole lot better against Oklahoma front.
Here's Scott Frost on Ramir Johnson.
All those guys are so even right now that we're we're letting them compete all week in practice, and whoever practices the best gets to go. And I thought that's the hardest I've seen Ramir run. He's got speed that makes him a little bit different, and I thought he played a good game.
He does. That was always the thing about Ramir, and I think he's one of the better pass blockers out there too, but can he run physically? And he showed that a little bit today, like surprisingly a lot, I think.
Yeah.
He's a small guy. I mean, he doesn't have the frame that Irvin has. He doesn't have, or that he could show in the future. He doesn't have he definitely doesn't look like Step, right. But can you kind of find a way to mix him in? It seems like yes, he did a really nice job. Or maybe not, and you go in against Big Ten teams and you just need to go 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and Ramir's not your guy for that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. I would just, I think that his numbers didn't really show it, but just the fight that he had would show me a little bit of separation.
He ran over a couple dudes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Marquis Step had a 100-yard game a few weeks ago, and he didn't even get a snap today. So I'm sure he doesn't feel that that's completely fair. So it's going to be interesting. But I think, again, at this point, you might have a lean toward a guy or another, but none of them are all Big Ten running backs. None of them are significantly better than the other ones. I think they went with the pass protecting running backs. That's what it looked like to me today.
Well, it also looked to me like Irvin was kind of a step out in front of everybody, and now you're not going to have Irvin.
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing. Let's go back to the phones. Last call for phone calls. We got probably about 5 minutes left here before we turn it over to DP out at Tanner's 30th and Yankee Hill. You can join them out there for probably about an hour and a half or 2 hours. Watch the evening games, the late afternoon games with them. Steve's on the line now. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Another game I feel like, we let slip away. I think we, outplayed them for parts of the game. I mean, there was our bonehead plays that we got on penalties again, but as far as fight, at least they showed some fight. That's been kind of lacking. And I'm getting tired of hearing Frost say, well, we got some young players. They act like they're the only team in the country that's got young players.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I'm like, come on. That ship's already sailed.
Yeah.
But good to see them compete. Good to see them fight. I'll give them their props for that. We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for the call. Frankly, it doesn't really matter anymore how young you are. I mean, there's got to be some results at this point in the game. I think that's, I don't know. We've tried to make that pretty clear. They are younger on the offensive line. Some of that is aided by COVID.
Yeah,
because you take guys' years of eligibility away.
Still sophomores.
Like Cam Jurgens is a starter for 3 years, and he's a sophomore.
Right. So he's not young as far as game action.
Right. But he still made 2 personal foul penalties today, right? So that only takes you so far. I'm generally with you on that one, Steve. How about defense? A lot of talk about the offense, obviously, rightfully so. Couldn't get Nebraska over the hump today, but defense kept them in it. Here's Frost on his defense's performance against one of the better offenses in the country.
Yeah, I didn't know. We had a plan going into the game. We wanted as few possessions for both teams as possible in the first half, and we knew the only way we'd do that is we could control the ball and get some first downs on offense. That meant getting some third downs. I thought we did that well. Thought the defense played a great first half. Thought we got an illegal crackback block on their first touchdown that might have taken those points off the board, and that didn't get called, but I need to see that on tape. Thought the offense did a good job sustaining a few drives. We just got to finish them. But I told the boys that if we came into halftime ahead or right in the game, I thought we were going to win, and we had our chances to.
They executed that game plan, that's for sure today. On the crackback block, I don't think it was a penalty. I wish I could sit here and tell you that it was. I didn't know what happened in the moment. I saw it I think Parker took a screenshot of it and showed it. I'm pretty sure it's just illegal. It's a legal hard hit
because it was behind the line.
Yeah,
yeah. It was hard to a lot of
and it was before the ball arrived or after the ball, or I can't remember, whatever it was. But the timing just lined up right on it, where I think it was pretty clean.
He didn't blindside him though, so I mean,
it wasn't blindside. It was right in front of his face. Like he was running toward the play, and then the Oklahoma guy was running like away from him and smashed him away from the play. So like it was in his face, but I don't think he saw him coming. So that's probably where.
Yeah, I mean that's where. Yeah, but and that was the direct guy that was covering the man who ended up with the ball and getting on that. So it's frustrating, but I hope that, I know there was a lot of talk about the refs last week and they weren't great, but I don't think there should be too much on the refs here. You can complain about a play here and there. That's how football should be.
Always.
It's going to be hard to
They
find
got the
perfect
spot
reference.
right after the crappy spot.
I would have complained about that. Yeah, that was pretty rough.
It's like 2 yards short of where it actually was.
Yeah.
And then they went back on the replay and they figured it out.
Yeah,
this is replay working.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually, but replay working here. All right, one final phone call on the Husker After Party postgame show brought to you by Southeast Community College and N Street Drive-In. Jason in St. Louis. Hey, Jason.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
All right, go Big Red. And I'm going to just kind of throw out a quick question to you guys, and then I'll hang up and listen. But the way I've kind of tried to look at this season is, yeah, individually in the game, are we seeing progress? But also, are we seeing progress as a program? And my question to see what you guys are thinking is, for this game, I couldn't be more happy that outside, if we weren't going to get a win, I think we played tough. I think we showed that we've got the athletes that can compete with top 25 level teams. But overall, we still lost this game for the same reasons we lost against Illinois earlier in the year, last year against Iowa, and several other games, penalties, untimely mistakes, and special teams. My concern is more of like the underdevelopment still. And I was just curious on if you guys still kind of see that too, or is this more of Oklahoma is legit that much better and we should all just be happy with the win? But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, and I'll hang up and listen to you guys.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate it. We got about a minute and a half here. There's a lot of stuff for that. As far as the development is concerned, I'm with you. It still leaves a little bit to desired. I still think you're kind of finding where your identity or where the kind of sweet spot is offensively, blending what you kind of tried to do and establish when you got here to actually crap. Our defense is good and we need to help them out a little bit and stay on the field longer, extend drives. And that's a lot. That's big, heavy on Adrian Martinez. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't know what a result here, what that looks like after today, or if it looks any different at all. I'm happy as coaches that they've identified that. I know that sounds like a low bar, but it's
been a problem.
It's been an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think if you took out the national ranking, took out the jersey color, the Oklahoma name, and you said Nebraska loses a 1-possession game and they have too many penalties and untimely mistakes, that's the Scott Frost recipe for losses so far in his career. So it kind of goes back to last week when you won by 25, is that I can't really blame you too much how you're feeling after that game. If you're feeling negative, I could understand why. But if you're feeling positive after a 25-point win, or after holding Oklahoma to 23 and only lose by 7, I can understand that too. It just kind of goes back to where you are as a Husker fan. Nobody can tell you this, but where you are and how your feelings were coming into the season and how they're progressing now. Because if you're judging it on 4 years, you're going to be straight up pissed. But if you're judging it on the fact that this was a borderline bowl team that just might make it, you're seeing signs of progress.
Yep. If they're a couple field goals short against a number 3 team in the country, and it's just like let's try and clean that up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing, but in the grand text of it, maybe not. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. DP's up next from Tanner's. Appreciate you guys. See ya.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win